Signore e signori, gentili ospiti, benvenuti a Lamborghini Urus World Premiere.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, welcome to the Lamborghini Urus World Premiere. Enjoy our story.
Signore e signori, siete pregati di alzarvi per l'inno nazionale italiano.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Italian national anthem.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Here we are. This is us. We are the ones of the cars you've just seen passing by in the tunnel of DNA, our DNA. We are the ones of Mura, which is synonym for innovation. We are the ones of Countach with the futuristic design, and LM002, the very first luxury SUV, the predecessor of Urus, and we are here to get to know Urus later tonight. We are the ones who love dreaming, but also making our ambitions come true, till we see our ambitions come true, actually, since we made it possible. This is the spirit that distinguishes us, and it makes me think of two artists which perfectly embody Lamborghini's DNA. We're talking about Andy Warhol and Pablo Picasso. Two people, two artists who never feared completely changing the arts world and invented a new art, actually. If we think about the fact that Andy Warhol wasn't even a painter, but became a pop art icon, well, this says a lot about who and what pioneers are. We're like this at Lamborghini. Since 1963, we create cars which don't just make us dream, but thanks to their high-tech content and their innovation, they still today revolutionize the automotive industry. We are the ones who love making. We are makers. We love essence even before shape, although we dress that shape in a very sexy way, which is exactly our car's design. We are informal luxury. Cars for people who like feeling well in their own skin and want a life with no constraints, but see the world in a colorful way, like the thousands of colors of our car's liveries. Yet we have one obsession. We're obsessed with innovation and technology, because we love shaping the future. But this technology and innovation is not just per se. Our research and development department doesn't just work to improve the performance of our cars, but also to improve people's everyday lives. Because for us at Lamborghini, people are important. We try to put the person in the center. There's one more thing we love very much, namely designing experiences. And when we say designing experiences, we don't just talk about cars themselves. Actually, we want to embrace those who love the brand to create experiences for the customers and for our fans, which are lots and lots of people. We've reached almost 11 million in Instagram, so we've got many fans following us, and we design experiences for them because this is what we love to do, and Urus is one of these experiences. First of all, let me say it is 100% Lamborghini DNA. Great innovation, technology, performance, the first super sport utility vehicle, and it has one feature, namely it is a more generous Lamborghini, as it opens up to another dimension, because it not just involves the driver and his experience, but also the family, children, our partners. So this is a Lamborghini that opens up to a social dimension. As you can see, this is a space that opens up. It's an embracing space. So if we want to summarize what I've just said, we are designers of experiences. We're informal luxury, and we're future shapers. But first and foremost, we're all of this because we've been listening to you, because we love listening. Lamborghini people are always listening. Thank you very much.
Dall'economia, intanto vi dico
2 millions de visiteurs durant le mondial.
München haben die USA an alternative solution.
perfecto.
Y venís para
判決が言い渡されます。中継です。
Lamborghini
people of Automobile Lamborghini love challenges. We feed on challenges, and we define ourselves as challengers. And the challenge I and my team had to face, the toughest one, was the introduction of Urus here in Sant'Agata, a completely new car compared to the ones we've manufactured so far. A challenge which implied planning and implementing a new production process and doubling the size of our company. And all of this within just 365 days. And thanks to a huge effort involving the whole company, I can say we managed to overcome this challenge. We made possible what seemed to be impossible at first. In order to make this factory, we started from 80,000 square meter agricultural parcels surrounding the existing buildings, and we realized that in the short amount of time we had, we couldn't apply conventional methods. The planning process of the factory was made possible thanks to virtual reality as well. We practically simulated each and every building, each and every system, the whole assembly line with computerized mathematical models, 3D models, in order to see any technological detail, each and every function before starting building. And then we started. Really, thanks to the whole company's coordination. So in a very short amount of time, 600 companies with 3,600 workers were working in harmony without any problem and without interfering with Aventador and Huracan production. We started with infrastructures, the roads actually, then the first building for offices, the logistics, the new painting department for Urus, and then the rest gradually. And today we're here. We're here at the very heart of expansion, in the production heart where we build Urus, where everything I'm going to show you takes place.
The world has entered the fourth industrial revolution. A revolution that brings the automation of production processes and collaborative robots. But we have already seen far more. Imagining a future where innovative technologies and human talent are as one. A future where latest generation collaborative robots work alongside line operators. Where production systems are interconnected and monitored in real time by all the staff. Where human work is not replaced, but assisted by machines. This is why we've set up a groundbreaking industry, creating value for the territory. Doubling our factory size while remaining CO2 neutral. Lamborghini introduces the new Manifattura Lamborghini. The first Industry 4.0 able to raise the quality of Italian craftsmanship is no longer impossible. Since we made it possible.
So, you've seen that our challenge was shaped in a very short time, but together with shape, also a change in substance has been implemented. In the last few years in Italy as well as in the world, people are talking about Factory 4.0. In some cases, it's a bit fashionable. Well, we call Essence in a different way. We call it differently. We call it Manifattura Lamborghini. The Manifattura Lamborghini is a completely new world that wasn't there before. It's a new way to manufacture cars where digitalization tools, digital tools, serve human beings and their work. It's a world where our people, their skills and abilities are at the very center of the production process, together with digitalization and automation in order to produce the perfect car. Why do we call it Manifattura? Because we are proudly artisans. Because the quality, the care, the passion we put in each and every manufacturing detail is unique. So the challenge is to keep this craftsmanship dimension with a volume increase. Thanks to the Manifattura Lamborghini, we'll be able to have better performances in our production processes. Producing customized cars based on customers' requirements, always with the utmost care and efficiency. With this production process, the human being is at the center, is the focus, but together with the help of digitalization and automation, and they create new shapes. For instance, automation. In our line, workers are equipped with, the systems are equipped with movement sensors, and they work with the workers, with the human beings. So Lamborghini has created a new relationship between men and machines, between work and creation. So the creativity and the automation is coupled with the reliability of machines, creating new ways, and we're very happy to go these new ways because we do love challenges.
La squadra Lamborghini è unita,
fresca e giovane. La differenza la facciamo in team.
Contare soltanto su di noi.
Raggiungere l'obiettivo.
Raggiungere l'eccellenza.
Aiutandosi.
Serve anche un po' di cattiveria. Avere ben in mente, chiaro, la direzione nella quale si vuole andare.
Rendere l'impossibile possibile.
Every day to do the best you can.
Lavorare in Lamborghini per me è un sogno che è diventato realtà.
Per me lavorare in Lamborghini è lavorare in un mondo a colori.
È un orgoglio da omaggiare tutti i giorni con l'impegno e soprattutto con le idee.
Lamborghini è come essere in una famiglia.
Significa la serenità di lavorare in un posto di lavoro stimolante, attivo, giovane.
Per me lavorare in Lamborghini è un motivo di grande orgoglio.
È un desiderio più che altro che sono riuscito negli anni a realizzare.
Per me lavorare in Lamborghini significa poter dire di fare il lavoro più bello del mondo.
No, ogni giorno abbiamo delle sfide nuove, ogni giorno c'è qualcosa di diverso e stimolante da fare.
Le caratteristiche della squadra Lamborghini sono, dal mio punto di vista, passione, rispetto,
grande teamwork, grande lavoro di squadra.
Ogni volta noi alziamo l'asticella per riuscire a raggiungere un risultato sempre più alto.
Ricerca assoluta dell'eccellenza in ogni ambito, della perfezione in ogni dettaglio.
La competenza, la passione.
La parola sfida evoca immediatamente il piacere del vincerla.
Senza sfide non c'è evoluzione, non c'è progresso. E quindi non c'è la possibilità di migliorarsi.
Tutti ottimi marinai con le navi ben ancorate in porto, ed è proprio quando magari arriva la tempesta che è lì che viene fuori il carattere e viene fuori magari quel qualcosa in più che ti dà la possibilità di affrontare e vincere queste sfide.
L'ambizione di superare un ostacolo, una sfida, un obiettivo è quello che ci rende unici per superarci e avere ogni giorno qualcosa di migliore. migliore ed eccellente.
Nel progetto Urus la sfida più importante, che sembrava veramente impossibile, è stata quella di riuscire a trasferire il DNA di una supersportiva Lamborghini come una Aventador all'interno di un SUV.
Una sfida arrivata 2 anni e mezzo fa, una vettura con sedili posteriori, porte posteriori, bagagliaio, mai vista prima. Quindi per me grande complessità raddoppiata e ho deciso di accettarla, molto contenta.
Lamborghini in una sola parola, strepitosa.
Lamborghini in una parola è wow.
Meraviglia.
Fenomenale.
È un sogno.
Famiglia.
Edonismo.
Passione.
Unica.
Movimento.
Emozione.
Entusiasmo.
Stupore.
Allora, se vi sedete in...
If you could please take your seats so that we can move on. We will show you that we can make a difference. We can do our job. We manufacture cars and therefore we will let cars come in and we will introduce them to you.
Va bene, allora io chiedo...
So, I would like to ask you, well, I'm doing something I've never done, but I'm creating a new job profile, basically. So, I'm asking the directors, since we're in a standby moment, to let the cars get in and to put them in the right spotlight and keep concentrated, keep focused, because in the end what matters is the cars. So when we're ready, we can light up the stage and let the cars get in.
Ok, facciamo entrare la macchina.
Okay, let's get the car get in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Urus.
Ah, sì. Illuminiamo?
A little bit of light.
Ok.
Believe me, this is not easy at all, but it's more interesting, more stimulating. So, let's now get to the technical core of the car, so I can give the floor to Maurizio Reggiani, our Research and Development Director, in order for him to explain the most important technical features of this car. Thank you very much. See you later. Okay, let's start with Urus. Well, Urus is already here with us. What I wanted to tell you is that it was a great challenge for us in the Research and Development Department, namely to find a way to inoculate the DNA of a super sports car, of a Huracan or Aventador, into such a car, in an Urus, an SUV car, which puts two question marks. First of all, the height of the car, because the gravity center is very high, and the weight of this car, the mass, which is much bigger than, of course, a normal car. Our goal was to have the same DNA. Another important thing is that it must be a car that is able to move and to be driven in all road surface circumstances and conditions. So we needed a vehicle that can be used in a city, on a road, as well as on a racetrack, using the accelerator pedal, the brakes and the suspensions and any dynamic element of the vehicle in the most perfect way. But this is not enough. We needed a vehicle that can be driven on earth, stones, gravel, like a rally car, without any compromises. The other challenge we had to face was to have a car that is able to surf on desert dunes. So with a special setup, this car can exploit its power and drive completely on dunes, on sand, and on any other road surface. And last but not least, low grip conditions that you can find wherever in the world, like on snow and ice. This was the goal we had, the task we assigned to our engineers. Then how did we do this? Where did we start? Since I had no graphics behind me, it's difficult to describe it, but when we start with a new project, we always have the radar diagram, which is a way for us to compare different cars and to identify the super sport car's features. So we define the profile of a super sports car by Lamborghini, and we sort of try to understand what the SUV's features are among the existing top range SUVs. And then we created the profile of Urus by taking the peculiarities of the best SUVs available, keeping it as close as possible to our super sports car. And we came to the profile of Urus, which has the Lamborghini Dna. This way we defined a sort of mission. The mission is composed of individual goals that can be attained. The first one, which is the most important for sure for Lamborghini, is the engine, the very heart of every Lamborghini. For this vehicle, we've selected a V8 twin-turbo 4-liter engine with 650 HP, 850 Newton meters. This is the very first turbo engine in Lamborghini's history, and for us, it was a very tough decision aimed at the very purpose of this car. The turbo was necessary because this car had to be able to do what I've said before, so to be driven on any road surface and overcoming any kind of obstacle. So the gearbox is equipped with an electro-hydraulic torque converter, and it has 8 speeds in order to convert and exploit the maximum power the best way, as I've said before. And in order to guarantee the all-wheel drive, we've introduced a completely new system, which is a central Torsen differential, self-locking differential. And for the first time, a torque vectoring rear differential was introduced. This is different because it is not just able to dissipate energy, as it usually happens in differentials when one wheel spins, when it has no grip. With torque vectoring, the torque is transferred to the other axle in order to make it possible to still have drive and to guarantee the best road grip conditions for the vehicle. And the purpose to all of this is, of course, for the vehicle to be on the ground, which means to have systems that make it possible to exploit all of this energy, all of this power. On Urus, for the first time, we've implemented air suspensions, which make it possible to have different ground clearances, which makes it possible to have a lower setting for the car when you want to use it on a racetrack or in a sporty way, or when you use it off-roads, you can lift the car and increase the clearance in order to avoid any possible obstacles on the ground. This is not enough, of course, because also in terms of comfort, the air shock absorbers make it possible to have an optimum filtering when the car is used in a city traffic, for instance, so it guarantees extreme comfort. As you can see, the wheelbase is quite long for this car, so in order to make it more agile, we've introduced the rear wheel steering. This makes it possible for the car to improve its dexterity, and it is as if the wheelbase can radically be shortened by 50 centimeters or so. So you can shorten a wheelbase or lengthen the wheelbase depending on the driving conditions in order to guarantee the best stability conditions under any circumstances. Always on this vehicle, we've introduced the active anti-roll bars, the movable anti-roll bars, which make it possible for the vehicle to change the stiffness of the suspension, so ranging from the typical racetrack conditions where you need stiffer suspensions on both sides or on different sides, or to different stiffness when you have irregular road surfaces in order to adapt to the road surface the best way. The braking system is something you can see straight away. I don't need to describe it. It's the most powerful available braking system in the world. We've got carbon ceramic brakes with 4 to 440 millimeters in the front and 370 millimeters in the rear, which makes it possible for such a car to be top performing and be equal to his sisters in a way, We've developed new tires that are completely new with Pirelli. They have a different cross-section in the front and in the rear in order to make it possible for the car to be more agile and flexible, in order for it to be more sporty and to be used on the racetrack and to have a better handling. And in terms of cross-section, you've got 21 inches and 23 inches. And the 23 inches are the biggest tires we have as a standard equipment for a car in the world, actually. This is necessary in order to create the best contact between the driver and the road surface. It is vital for the comfort use, for the tires to filter any irregularities in order to reduce vibrations. But when you use the car on the racetrack, you need the driver to really feel the road surface, to really feel the track. This is the reason why this whole system is the best technical result we could ever achieve. We've been talking about power and how to transfer this power to the ground, but like in every living thing and a human body as well, what matters is the brain, so how to have full control of this power. So we need a control system that is also easy to use. The driver doesn't have to lose time, to waste his time finding a way to manage all this. This is why we created a system you have the chance to see later on in the car, which is called tamburo. The tamburo is a cylinder-shaped selector located in the middle of the central tunnel for an ideal ergonomic position for you, so in the most accessible position. And thanks to this system, it is possible to use two levers. The one on the left makes it possible to just click in order to switch between the different driving modes of the car: Strada, Sport, where of course you have more fun to drive. Then you've got the Corsa, which is the most performance-oriented mode, where the engine really becomes wicked and it enables you to have a super sport performance. Moving on to the Sabbia mode, so off-road conditions, where you have a change in all of the control systems of the car. Then Terra, which is another driving mode, adapting to a totally different road surface. And then Neve, snow, where the grip is the best grip you can have in order to have top stability control. On the right-hand side of the tamburo, there is a function that is called Ego. The Ego makes it possible for the driver to customize his or her own car setup profile. So every one of you will have the chance to drive an Urus, will have the opportunity to customize their own car setup with Ego. And just by clicking the Ego button, you can just activate that profile and drive in the preferred way. Let's go to the last vital element of the Lamborghini DNA, which is design. Design is paramount. Design is one of the things you must immediately like. And for our guys working at the Centro Stile, the design department, of course, the challenge was to combine the typical style elements of our design with a completely new design if compared to the vehicles we've been manufacturing in the past 3 decades. The LM002 is the SUV we launched in the 80s, so 30 years have gone by, during which we've been only manufacturing super sports cars. So the work of the Centro Stile was really tough, and it was redesigning a car with these style elements. And the way we use to measure the design, the way which we use in order to understand whether we've attained this result, is we say every time that a Lamborghini comes, you don't need to read the name or to see the logo. You can immediately tell by the design and by the sound that this is a Lamborghini. This is vital for the success our cars must have. From the performance point of view, because of course you also have to sort of measure the performance of such cars, because numbers tell us where we're positioned in the market. Well, Urus can accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.6 seconds. 3.6 seconds is a very, very hard time for supersport cars to reach. Not just that, also the 0 to 200 kilometers per hour, the acceleration is 12.8, and I can assure you that most supersport cars in the market have a hard time reaching it. So, as to the braking performance, you've got 33.7 meters to come to a complete stop, which makes it possible for the car to reach extreme performances. The specific power is 162 HP per liter, and I can assure you this is pretty much because the car is for sure conformant to any world's regulations and emissions requirements, and the top speed is 305 kilometers per hour, so it's the fastest SUV in the world. Well, after this I was supposed to call on the cars to let them in, but they are already here, so I can invite Stefano to join me on the stage. Well, I'll try to be brief, because as you can understand the situation is quite peculiar, but I think it must give us the right impetus to look forward, to look to the future, because these very moments show what the personality of the women and men is that live such an experience. So, with great respect of our Prime Minister, I'd like to say it's a great honor for us to have him here. So I'd like to thank our shareholders, our friends, our dealers, and all of those who are watching us and streaming. There are moments, times when you realize you're experiencing something important, something unique, so times which stand for a change from which you can't go back. So we're here today in the brand new factory that were built in such a short time to live together an historical moment for our company, because for sure tomorrow will be very high in a way, and we'll have to manage this. But however, in tonight's presentation, we wanted to tell you what Lamborghini is today in 3 main points: the brand and its typical values. So it's a brand that is typical for our history. Then second element is the manufacturer Lamborghini, which is very innovative production method, yes, in compliance with our tradition. And of course the technical presentation, the technical content Maurizio Reggiani has just presented. Since we made it possible is the perfect claim which makes us grasp what this car is for us, what the size, the dimension of this car is, because from now on Lamborghini will change its position in the automotive industry. Our product portfolio will be extended to conquer new customers, but still with a car that is in line with Lamborghini's DNA. As I was saying earlier, today is the point of no return, so it's a new beginning for us, for Lamborghini, that we think will be even more active in the industry, in the automotive industry. And also in terms of brand awareness, we've reached millions of followers, and all of this makes us proud. But of course, we're even more aware of the fact that we're responsible for the future. The future will be even more stimulating. We're different from the others, we know that, and we should be aware of this, because this way we can look at the future success of this company. But going back to Urus now, it is Lamborghini you can drive every day. As you can see, it has different soles, different colors, different settings. But still, we do believe that this car can make a difference in a landscape Lamborghini was not used to before. So it has challenged us in incredible ways at all levels: investments, people coming, working with us in terms of markets. 2019 we will increase, we will double the sales volumes. Everything starts, of course, with the will of our shareholders who took up this challenge, and therefore I thank them. Mr. Staller really wanted Lamborghini to be here in Italy, so thank you very much once again. And people like Luca De Meo, who has been working hard in order for this to happen, and my predecessor, Stefan Winkelmann, who's been working with the people working here before me in order to make this possible. Just think of what Lamborghini was 10 years ago. It was a different dimension, a different company. So our company, and I'm very proud in saying this, is an example of the fact that in our country, in Italy, we got the will to make things, that we got a balance between public and private sectors, and that we can find solutions. In this sense, we can mention the framework agreement that was signed in spring 2015 by the former President Renzi, Mr. Renzi, whom we thank, by the Minister Guidi and the region Emilia-Romagna with President Bonaccini, who is here with us, with the metropolitan city and the municipality of Sant'Agata Bolognese with the mayor Vicinelli. I think this is an example, a practical example of the fact that we can do things. And it's important for us to see foreign companies, such as our group, ready to thrive and invest here in Italy. This makes us proud. So thank you once again. I'd like to thank our shareholders for believing in us. But first and foremost, I'd like to thank the women and men working here every day with an unbelievable passion and love. They do make a difference here. And from this point of view, I think I can say that Lamborghini today is an extraordinary example of how the relationships between trade unions and the top-level management can find the right balance, balancing their own positions, of course, but with an aim to reach common good and sustainable development. And I'd also like to stress our social responsibility extended to the local area thanks to the cooperation with universities and institutes surrounding us. So this is something that happens every day, but still ours is not a locally oriented and closed company. On the contrary, we are also cooperating with the MIT in Boston for the third millennium car development, or for the Stanford University, or with many other advanced medical research institutes where our technologies can be used for the sake of research and science. So it's a very dynamic company where tomorrow has already come today for us, because we know that customers are at the very center of our activity. Our customers will be using this car, and we don't have to forget that we are a super sports car manufacturer, but this is something we have to bear in mind in order to move on. So I'd like to thank you very much. But ours is a teamwork, and I have the honor to represent this company in this very intense and beautiful moment. Yet the real heroes are our managers. So I'd like to invite my board colleagues to the stage. And as I was saying, people that make a difference every day, our employees and our workers, so the people working at Lamborghini. So I'd like to invite them here on the stage, and please make a big applause because they really deserve it.
Grazie ragazzi.
Thank you. This is your day. But I also like to invite Professor Staller to the stage, because more than any other one, he really wanted this project to be implemented. So very well, now that we're all here, I think it's fair, it's right to see where these cars are manufactured, so to see the factory of Since We Made It Possible.
La vedrete dopo cena, ho già capito.
Well, maybe you'll see this after dinner, I've already understood, so we can actually leave the stage. Here's the factory.
A questo punto per noi è
Now, for us, it's a really great honor to have you here on such a special day, like today. And having our Prime Minister with us is, of course, a great honor and a great responsibility for us, also because we want to be ambassadors of Made in Italy. So I'd like to invite our Prime Minister to join me on the stage, and I thank him for his patience. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Stefano Domenicali. Don't worry about the technical issues. It's like a storm during a wedding. It's a sign of good luck, actually. So, enthusiasm. The enthusiasm of this team. When a new car is launched, is a contagious enthusiasm, and I really thank you for this. I would also like to thank the people on my right and on my left. Technicians, workers, employees, the managers of Lamborghini, because if this was possible, well, this is thanks to you. So thank you for your work, for what you're doing. You made it possible. It was you that made it possible. The history started over 50 years ago, based on the idea of Ferruccio Lamborghini, and I think this story is wonderful. It's one of the most extraordinary stories in terms of entrepreneurship and manufacturing in Italy. It is a story that involves us all. When I was a child, I was driving a Fiat 500, but the Miura was in my dreams, of course, when I was a child, and the story went on over the years and led us to the results we can see today. And you have to be proud of these results, of these achievements. This is the Manifattura Lamborghini. I like the idea of this name you created, because the Manifattura is, however, a specialty, not just of your country, but of our country, of this territory. It's the result of an extraordinary mix of craftsmanship and technological innovation. And over time, it will be extended to an industrial dimension, to exports. It means being there in the world, being present in the world. And this also means having a brand that is the envy of the world. So welcome to you too. This is the Manifattura. Please, you can join us. We are proud of this Manifattura as a government. We are proud of the fact that, thanks to the engagement you showed over the last few years for the factory 4.0 and for the innovation, we are sure that this Manifattura is future-oriented. The skills and the abilities that come from the bondage with our territory won't be dispersed in a world that is controlled by big data and artificial intelligence. Of course, we've got innovation, and we really need to embrace it. We need to be up to date. We need to use innovation, but we need to bring our qualities and skills in the future. We need to use our industrial abilities. The fact that you invest in human capital is an extraordinary resource for the future, and the government really thanks you for this will to invest. So I'd like to thank you for this, and I also thank you because Lamborghini is not just an example of innovation created by the territory and projected all over the world, but Lamborghini is also an example of an Italy that can export, an Italy that can be there with its marketing process and can work on an international level. this year we've had 7.8% exports more, so we can be proud of our country. And this is also an example of an Italian country that attracts investment. And I think we have to be thankful for the fact that one of the most important players in the automotive industry has decided to continue investing in Lamborghini in this local territory for the development of this wonderful industrial story. So we would also like to thank the shareholders who decided to invest and who believed in your work and who still believe in our work. And these shareholders and the capitals that our country can attract is something that we have to take care of as much as we can. We don't have to disperse these energies, to lose these energies. And I also think about situations we discuss about in our country, for instance, the steel issues. When you have capitals that are ready to be invested to save the environment and to save work, a great country will find a way to collect these energies, not to lose these energies. Dear Mr. Domenicali, you're also the example of a country that can team up around problems. Because we've seen that today the collection of Lamborghinis is enriched with one more model, and if we're here today for this launch, we're here also thanks to the fact that in a more difficult time, the previous government with Mr. Renzi, Minister Guidi, and the president of the region, and the company and the shareholders, the global shareholders of Lamborghini, and the trade unions teamed up. And since they teamed up, they were able to overcome difficulties. And this is also an important lesson to be learned. This is a very important lesson we've learned in the experience, thanks to the experience of Lamborghini. If public and private institutions do team up, they don't hinder each other. They can join their skills and abilities. The public sector invests in research activities, and this is also thanks to the fact that the territory around Sant'Agata believes in Lamborghini. The trade unions are working together with the companies in order to have models that can actually stress the importance of everybody's skills. As you can see, the work you've been carrying out has several meanings. So the work that you've been carrying out in the last few months and years in order to manufacture cutting-edge cars, which many of us can't afford, actually, but there are many people who can afford it. There is a luxury market. There is a market in which you are actually believing, and you have an opportunity to lead this market. We know that this market is growing around the world. It's growing in many countries. It's growing in China, in Asia in general, not just in the US and in Europe. So this is something we believe in for the future. This is something we really want to implement for the future, and I'd like to thank you for this. So, a long life to Lamborghini and to its history, and everything can be transferred to the future with technology, and thanks to the very ancient know-how of this local area. Once again, thank you very much, and a long life to Lamborghini.
Signori e signori, siete pregati di...
Ladies and gentlemen, please, we kindly invite you to remain seated till the Prime Minister has left the stage.
Staying in touch with the rest of the world is no longer impossible, since they made it possible. Building a futuristic city in the desert is no longer impossible, since they made it possible. Discovering new planets able to host life is no longer impossible, since he made it possible. Deciphering the code of life is no longer impossible, since they made it possible. Setting up an accommodation company without any property, or a music platform without producing music, is no longer impossible, since they made it possible. Building a car able to open new roads and possibilities is no longer impossible, since we made it possible. Lamborghini introduces Urus. The super sport utility vehicle is no longer impossible, since we made it possible.